The jeans in your closet, the sportswear in your gym bag may have started life in Lesotho, a small landlocked kingdom in southern Africa. For 2 decades, its garment industry was a rare beacon of growth, built almost entirely on a single U.S. trade deal. Today, that industry and tens of thousands of paychecks are hanging by a thread. This is the story of how the mere threat of one American tariff derailed an entire national economy. Lesotho's rise began with the African Growth and Opportunity Act, better known as AGOA. Passed by Congress in 2000, the law allows eligible African countries to ship thousands of products to the United States duty-free. The idea was trade, not aid. Give factories a price edge in the world's richest consumer market and let private investment do the rest. Lesotho seized the opening. Within a few years, it was proudly billed as the denim capital of Africa. At its peak, up to 50,000 workers, most of them women, sat at sewing machines producing jeans and sportswear for brands like Levi's, JCPenney, and Walmart. Garments became the country's largest private sector employer, and roughly 80% of everything made in those plants sailed straight to American shelves. That very success eventually put a target on Lesotho's back. In April 2025, the Trump administration announced it was weighing a 50% tariff on goods from the country, arguing that the wide trade surplus with the United States was unfair. It would have been one of the steepest duties threatened against any nation. Even though the figure was later trimmed to 15% on July 31st, the uncertainty alone shattered confidence. Whatever the final rate, it overrides AGOA's duty-free promise, and AGOA itself is set to expire in September 2025. Suddenly, buyers could no longer predict what any shipment might cost by the time it reached an American port.
The impact was immediate. U.S. brands froze new orders. Production lines idled almost overnight. One factory employing more than 1,000 people closed its doors entirely. Another slashed hours and wages in half. Industry officials estimate that at least 12,000 jobs tied directly to the U.S. market have already vanished. Machinery that once hummed around the clock now sits silent, wrapped in plastic to keep the dust off.
Behind every stalled sewing machine is a family budget in free fall. Formerly self-sufficient workers now scrape by on as little as $80 a month, barely enough for rent, food, and school fees. At dawn, crowds of laid-off seamstresses gather outside factory gates, hoping to be chosen for a single day's work that rarely materializes. With household incomes collapsing across the country, the government of Lesotho has declared a national state of disaster. The shockwaves extend beyond the factory floor. Taxis that once ferried workers now sit idle. Market stalls that sold lunches to shift workers are seeing sales evaporate. Entire communities that grew up around the garment hubs feel the squeeze. And Lesotho is not alone. Neighboring South Africa faces a new 30% tariff that its central bank governor warns could cost 100,000 jobs. The region's closely linked economies are bracing for more pain.
Lesotho's predicament exposes the fragility of progress built on a single export market. Duty-free access to the United States turned a mountainous kingdom into a global supplier of blue jeans. The threat of losing that access has shown how quickly the fabric can unravel. With AGOA's future uncertain and higher tariffs already on the books, factories, workers, and policymakers are scrambling for alternatives, none of which can be spun up overnight.
A single pair of jeans now tells a cautionary tale about globalization. When trade policy becomes a bargaining chip, livelihoods can vanish thousands of miles away. For the people of Lesotho, The hope is that the world's next fashion season arrives before the last sewing machine falls silent.